Wow, day 14. 14. So by now you should have 14 cards. Hello again from Myra's Crafting Playground. We're not doing the pajama party or the midnight oil tonight. Tonight it's Saturday and dinner time, and I found some time to put this together for you. So I hope you enjoy it. Now, once again, I couldn't resist. I was playing with Reindeer Fun. This set, honestly, is an amazing set. Um, this is another piece that comes with it. I just wanted to incorporate some of the pieces I hadn't played with, so we've got some jingle bells, some holly, some Christmas lights, and of course this beautiful frame here as well. I used, when you punch this out, it just punches out the leaves. It doesn't punch out the circle. What I did there is I found a larger decal circle to be able to finish that off. Otherwise you'll just end up with the hollowed center. So to get the circle, I had to frame the die and cut it out. So I hope you like the card. I'll try and move away from Reindeer Fun, but you know what? Those 12 reindeer keep calling to me, so that's what I ended up with. Anyhow, okay, so let's get down to the table and put this card together. Let me just see what I've got here. Clean up my little mess for just a moment. Now I have the piece that I was working with yesterday that I said would take out the glare from my light, and as you can see it's really nice and clean, and that's because I was also using it for when I was coloring my lights. I used my Stampin' Blends to color the lights, and because they are alcohol ink markers, they would color my glass mat, and I don't want that. So I just used red, yellow, green, and blue, and I'm just coloring the markers. So red, yellow, green, blue, red, yellow, green, blue, and red. So I end up with 3. And this is how I stained my piece that I have on my table. So I'm just sort of coloring up to the edge. By the way, the colors that I used, let me just verify. I'm pretty sure this one is Dark Parakeet Party. So this one may be expired, not expired, but from a previous catalog. This one is the Dark Daffodil Delight. This one is the Dark Poppy Parade. And finally, the blue that I used is the Light Azure Afternoon. But I find it's sort of, between these colors, it's kind of rainbow bright. So I'm very happy with that final mix. So then I just wanted to share, as I do the dies that I used today. Oh my goodness, my magnetic pad is just sticking everywhere. So from the Greetings of the Season, my Merry Christmas, the script die that you, or the script stamped message you see there is from Greetings of the Season. And that was the stamp set, if you recall, that had all these different label type dies if you took the bundle. So it has all of these different shapes in there. So this one was one of the longer ones so that I could fit the Merry Christmas in there. So that's the one that I used for that die. And then the rest of these, they're all from, except for this large decal circle, all the rest here, the wreath, the bells, the lights, the holly, and the reindeer, they're all from the Reindeer Fun Bundle if you get the dies with that. So that was a lot of fun. The other thing that I used is the wood grain embossing folder. So it is quite large, as you can see. You can actually do 2 fronts at once. So that's the wood grain that I used. And if you couldn't tell where I had the wood grain, this, and I don't know if I can flash it enough so you'll see it, but it was just to give this back white piece some texture. I thought if I left it plain, it would just be a bit too plain. So I did run that through the embossing folder. Okay, so we've got our lights to go. You know me, I like to reduce the number of pieces that I'm working with. So let's see if we can do that. So the next thing I'll put together then, I will just add my embossed, there you go, you can see that there, my embossed wood grain piece on the front of the card. Now I did pop that up, so I'm going to pop it up here as well. Oops, not with those pop-ups. They were the minis that I grabbed. And as life would have it, I have misplaced my, oh, there they are. Alright, so I'm just going to, I know in my last video I was at the end of another package, or another piece with all of these spots on it, and I said make sure and use the edges, so I encourage you to still do that. So I'm just going to pop that up there, and let's get all these little glue covers off, making a little pile here on the side. And then I'm just, so this, oh, by the way, of course, measurements. This embossed piece is 4 by 5 1/4. My card front is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And my base, of course, is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. So that's where you get your 4 1/4. Okay, so then, in the interest of reducing pieces, I'm going to put my little deer head together. So I used basic gray. This one is gray granite, and this one here is smoky slate. So those are the colors I used this time, because I think in my other reindeer I used some of the browns. So this one I wanted to go gray, just to show you a different color combination. There are so many color combinations. There was one demonstrator who just went crazy, and she had 2 pages of different color combinations, and they were all amazing. Fortunately, I can't remember who that was, and I don't have the printouts with me here. But it was so nice to see all the colors that she put together. So in that middle die, there are little like pupils in there, so I want to get that in there. Whoops, don't slide it too much. Okay, so there's our deer head ready to go. So we've got our card base, our lights, our deer head. Then extra lights. Then we have our holly, and I'm just going to add the bells to it. So this is also part of the reindeer fun. Now on my other card, I tried to get the bells so that you couldn't see the green color through them, and I've already booped that. That's okay. We'll do it one way on one card, another way on another card, but my idea was that if you couldn't see the green color, I don't know what my idea was, but that's the look I went for last time. This time I've got a bit of green in there. The one problem with this is it did end up coming off the card, So if I were to put this in an envelope, and as you can see here too, I might be a bit challenged, or I'd have to use one size larger envelope. But since our postal people are still on strike, I'm not going to worry about that for now. Now, if you get glue on foil, I have a baby wipe in my hand, and you just give it a little bit of a rub, and you end up removing the glue off that, so there's no more glue there. Of course, my baby wipe had blue ink on it, so now there's a bit of blue ink on there, but that's a different story. Okay, so with this piece here, what I did was I pre-embossed the little snowflake and star kind of image on this. So I stamped it with white pigment ink. You can also do that with Versamark. And then I put some embossing powder. So if you use Versamark white embossing powder, if you use pigment ink, you could also use white embossing powder or clear, it doesn't really matter. But I wanted those stars on there. There, you can see them there. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Misty Moonlight ink pad and I am going to, so this is where my tablet got messy because I was adding color, and your first, you don't want to get a big blotch of color on there, so I was stamping off the edge here and going all over, and so that's where my beige piece got marked up. So I'm not too worried about darker edges because my frame has like a 1/4 inch border on it, so I'm not too worried about that, like doing sort of a dark to a subtle, because I'm just going for the color that I want really in the middle. So I didn't even have to really do the edges, but you can't stop. You have to do it. So we have our blending brushes and Misty Moonlight. Now, because I already embossed those stars and snowflakes, sorry for that noise, on the paper, what I want to do now is I want to go in with a little rag and give those stars and snowflakes a good rub to get the ink off of them so they really come through. Because right now they've got some Misty Moonlight ink on them, so the paper's not going to wipe clean because the ink has been absorbed into the paper. But my stars are going to shine through like stars should. So there we go. I'm happy with that. So you can see the stars shining through. I don't know which way the best image is. So then what I'm going to do is just add some glue on the back of my frame. I'm going to leave it white. Now, of course, if you wanted to sort of change up the look, you could have done this in like a green so that you have a green evergreen. Of course, it would change the look of your card, but that's fine. You do you. Now I'm going to put this down. I'm not going to press too hard because I want to fit my deer in there, and probably I should have put my lights on first, but I didn't. So let's put our deer in there, And then I'm going to add glue behind the deer. I know this is a little backwards, but it just works for me because I'm not sure where my deer is going to land. And then I can just press that down. All right, so I have my deer and my frame and my background. Then I'm going to take my lights and add some glue on the back of there. All these fine things need a fine tip glue. So I'm going to add that onto my frame. Now these are a little bit like the circle, the configuration of this circle is a little bit wider than this frame, so I'm going to force it sort of up and make it fit. So it's on there. And then my holly is going to go onto the side. And I think I'm going to pop that up as well. And I'm going to add that onto my card base. So I'm going to do my best not to use reindeer fun tomorrow. I don't think I will. I have something else planned. All right, so I'm going to raise this a little bit higher just so I have room for my greeting underneath. I'm going to center that as best as I can. Put that down. And then I have my label here. And like I've said before, that sometimes the smart thing to do is to stamp and then cut, but for the purposes of the video, oh my goodness, my hands are getting so weak. I did print or cut out the label first, and I am going to stamp this on it. I should be able to see through nicely to be able to center this and hopefully get everything on there. Let's just go for it. Commit and go, right? Otherwise you get nervous and you shake and nothing ever ends up working good. So there we go. Commit and go. Woohoo! Done. All right, so this I'm also going to pop up. Let's close the ink before I put my hand in that. So we'll pop up our label. And then, oh my goodness, 14 cards. Or if you're like me, I make one as a sample and then I have to make one to show you how I made it. So I'm up to 28. I'm excited. So this label, like I said, is also long over the card, and this one I've even made out stick out even more. So you could really pull it back to the edge of the card and then trim the tails, okay, so that it doesn't go over, but I'm going to leave it sort of centered with a little bit off on each end and just put it there. So I have it a bit centered. This should have been, I should have picked a different way to tilt this. So let's show you what happens when, if you're like me. You know, a great trick for this is dental floss, and I actually believe I have some here on my table somewhere. But if you want to get under something to lift it up, you bring in some dental floss and just gently go under it and slide that dental floss forward. I, on the other hand, just threw it up with my pick. Okay, so I'm going to put another piece of dimensional there. This one will actually come off pretty easy. And I can put another dimensional on there. We'll try that again. So how do I want to do this? I could do that, or maybe I could leave the wider end. Oh, I think that might work well. Oh, but then my bells are upside down. No, I don't want my bells upside down. We're going to have to go with that. There we go. There. Now that's not so much off. So, tip of the day is dental floss, not just for nighttime anymore or daytime. And there's our card. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed the couple little tricks that I might have shared with you there. And happy crafting. See you tomorrow.